Hello and welcome to ClausenWorld. I am in the garden preparing my pots to receive the peppers I'm going to be planting this season, and I want to show you guys how I prepare my pepper container. These were already set up last year, so nobody got to see how they're prepared, and I want to take you along and show you how I do it. So come in the garden with me today and let's prepare some peppers. All right, this is one of the pots that I had last year that I had a pepper in. The pepper died, so I am preparing this pot for the new peppers that I started indoors back in December. So what I do is I first clean off the top of the pot. I take off all of the wood chip. I have a little bucket down here in the corner that you guys can't see. So I'm just taking this wood chip out, just like that. And I want to get all of the wood chip out, or the vast majority of the wood chip. And if you guys can see, I had a pretty good amount of wood chip in this bucket. I like to make sure that the pots will stay as moist as possible. And if you can tell that the further down I go, this soil is relatively moist. And I also had in here a white yarrow, and I do believe that that yarrow died as well. So I am just kind of going a little bit gingerly because I have some growth right there and I'm not quite sure what that is. It could possibly be yarrow, and if it is, great, I will replant it, but I'm not sure. This was the pepper right here, this dried up lonely little stalk, and as you can see, there is no life in those roots. I hope you guys can see that. So I am just massaging that soil off of that root ball and tossing that aside. And I'm going to try and lift this out just to see if it is maybe a weed. Looks like it could possibly be a weed because the yarrow would be bigger than that. So out it goes. I don't see anything else. So now what I do is I take this soil and I dump it out into my favorite handy dandy teal bucket over there. Now I've already placed in the bucket, let me move this wood chip over here. I already have in my bucket some perlite, some Osmocote, and some plant tone. That's what I use for pretty much everything in the garden that I fertilize. I don't have any more black cow. I tried to get some of those busted bags today and there weren't any, so I didn't buy any. So I was being cheap today, but that's okay. This will be just fine. So I'm going to tip out this soil if I can get it out. There we go. I'm just going to tip out the vast majority of this soil, just like so. And I'm just looking to see if there are any roots, any bugs. Sometimes in the garden you'll get June bugs leaving. That didn't look like a June bug, but just in case, you'll get bugs in your soil. You'll have grubs, and I'm just looking to see that there aren't any of that. And my soil is very wet down there, so that's good, very good. It's nice and moist. A little bit of water ran out. I don't know if you guys happen to see that, but I am just taking off the soil right to this mid-level, and I don't see any bugs, but I'm going to show you guys in just a second. Can you see those tops? Those are water bottles in there, and I used water bottles last year and the year before last to make sure that, number one, my pots, my buckets weren't heavy, that they had airflow, and that they had a reservoir to be able to suck up any water that could have been in the bottom. Now, what I'm going to do this year that I did not do last year because I was just being lazy, call it like it is, and I cut some PVC. I picked up some PVC and I cut it, and I am going to use this to make sure that the water that I'm going to place in this for watering this bucket only gets to the roots, and I'm not watering the top. I don't want to waste any water like I did last year, so I'm going to make sure that this is set up to where I'm not wasting water by pouring water over the top, and then the actual roots are not absorbing the water the way they should. Now, you're supposed to cut this at an angle, but my tool is not working right now. I think I might have broke it. I don't know, but it's not working, so I'm going to leave it as is. And since I already have bottle tops here, I'm going to sit it halfway on the bottle top and halfway off the bottle top. That way it's still far enough up to where the water that's going to be draining through will be able to get down into the root ball. Now, before I do any of that, I have my soil mixture over here, so let's move this out the way. And I have my soil mixture here with the fertilizer. I'm just going to give this a toss around and mix up that fertilizer that's in the bottom of this bucket. I hope you guys can see what's going on. The sun is moving. There we go. So it is beginning to get us shaded over here, which I like, but you all might not be able to see it as well as I can. And I just mix up my fertilizer. Now I think I'm going to have to tip this over to really get into the bottom because this soil is very moist. I watered a week ago and I have not watered this bucket since then. So you can tell that this bucket really held water. And I was going to water it again today because even though nothing is in this bucket, soil is alive and you need to keep it moist even if nothing is in it. So I make sure that even if I have nothing in my buckets or my containers, that I water and feed them if I'm going to be putting something in its place that's replacing whatever passed away. So let me say that again so that you guys understand. If there's nothing in here, like I had nothing in here because it died, I continue to water this soil. I water and feed it because you need to keep that soil microbe, that soil environment alive. So I hope you guys understood that. And I watered this a week ago today, as a matter of fact, and this soil was still very much moist. There's a lot of water in the bottom. And I made sure that I drilled another hole right here, a much bigger hole, because I had initially, when I first made this bucket about 2 years ago, I made the mistake and put the hole too far up. That hole is way too far up. That's a lot of water to sit in the bottom of your bucket, and whatever you have in here will drown if you don't make sure that your hole is far enough down. So I went down and made sure that my hole was bigger and at the bottom of the bucket. So now that I have this soil mixed up, I'm going to put it back in the bucket. Now, my peppers are not hardened off all the way yet, so they're not ready to go inside of the bucket. But when I want to plant this bucket up, I will bring you back and show you how I plant these up. But for right now, I'm preparing these buckets to get them planted. And I have a fly over here working my last nerves, trying to get on me. I don't like flies. Flies land on poop. Flies eat poop. I don't like flies. So if I start swinging, I'm not trying to swing at y'all. This fly is really working my nerves. It's too early in the season to have insects, but I'm going to tell you right now, in Texas, we have insects flying around. All right, so now that my soil is mixed up, I'm going to place it back in the bucket. So let's move this bucket over so you guys can see. And I want to make sure that I place this halfway on top of a bottle top and halfway off, so that when I pour water in through the irrigation system, it gets to where it needs to go. and it's not stopped up, if that makes any sense. All right, then I pour the soil back in, just like so. I'm going to level it off. And I'm going to leave some room at the top for wood chip. And I'm not going to firm this soil in because I'm not ready to plant in it yet. But when I am ready to plant in this in another couple of days, that's when I will firm it and place more soil in the bucket if need be. So right now I am just going to put the wood chip on top to make sure that this soil stays moist. And then I'm going to continue on with the other buckets that I have, because I have several buckets that I'm going to be planting peppers in. And that's it. I'm not going to take you guys along because I'm going to do this very same process with all the other buckets, but I will show you in the end all the buckets I prepared. So until then, you know what to do if you haven't already. Like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you to all of my subscribers and everybody who watch. I greatly appreciate you. So until the next time, goodbye for now and happy gardening to you. I have finished preparing my pepper pots and this is what they look like. Hope you guys can see. Let me turn you up a little bit more. Sorry about my camera skills today. There we are. I have refreshed the soil, topped the soil with wood chip, and I have placed the PVC pipes in the bucket so that when I place the irrigation system, the water will drip directly down to the roots and I won't waste any water on the top of the buckets. So that's all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Bye for now.